Here's a look under the hood of my 2024 EcoBoost Ford Maverick. Now, some of this may seem very basic to some of you, but I find it interesting nonetheless, and perhaps this will be helpful to at least someone out there. So, let's take a look at some of the interesting things that I have found under the hood. One that I would like to start with is the engine. Now, in one of my prior videos, I mentioned that I thought that the engine was made in Ohio in the United States, but if you notice there, that says VEP. That is the Valencia engine plant. So my engine was made in Valencia, Spain. Now, a fun way to put this, and I've heard somebody else on YouTube mention this, and that is that my engine speaks Spanish. Well, in real life, I speak a little bit of Spanish. Entiendo español un poquito. I understand a little bit of Spanish, but I've been trying to learn a lot, but I digress. I think it's quite interesting how the assembly of the truck as well as the engine were in Spanish-speaking countries. So the truck was assembled in Mexico and the engine in Spain. So I think that's actually really cool. So yes, it's nice to have things made in my own country of the United States, but I've heard really excellent things about the Valencia engine plant. So I'm actually quite pleased, and I would be happy either way, but it's just another fun, fascinating fact. Fun, fascinating fact. All right. Now, another fun, fascinating fact is the way that the hood release works for this vehicle. There is no release and catch and fumble around with your hand trying to find, well, where is it? It's actually really simple. I'll show you the release inside the vehicle. So notice here it says 2x, meaning 2 times. And that is because you have to pull that release 2 times in order to actually release the hood. And if you release it once, the catch is still going to be holding it. But if you release it the second time, then it fully releases, and all you do is just lift up on the hood and then put the hood brace or strut into the little slot where the arrow is. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the windshield washer reservoir. So that is what I talked about in my previous video. Filling up with the diluted mix. The next thing is the reservoir for the coolant, so that overflow reservoir. I like how each of these items have bits of information, and if you see that symbol with the I, like I for information, with a book, that means information about it is in the owner's manual. And so you'll see how that cap is listed for 145 kPa or 21 pounds per square inch. Lots of helpful warnings and other information under the hood. Now again, some of this may seem fairly basic, but I still appreciate it even though I have changed timing belts in a vehicle. I've done basic maintenance like oil changes, air filter, cabin air filter, tire rotations, front brakes, and a number of other maintenance items. So I'm familiar with deep and technical work, but I still very much appreciate even just the everyday maintenance or the monthly maintenance. I think it's really nice to know, and it helps you appreciate your vehicle. It also helps you appreciate the work that goes into keeping it nice, as well as the work that went into manufacturing it. Now, speaking of keeping it nice, one of the things you want to watch for is whenever you add oil yourself, make sure that you are looking at what is shown on the oil filler cap. In this case, it's SAE 5W30. The manual will say that it is a synthetic blend. That's what's required, although many people tend to prefer full synthetic from what I have seen and heard. So just be aware, especially what your manual says, at least do that, and then some people like to do more than that. All right, so the next thing is going to be the battery. The positive cable is covered up with that red cover or boot, and then the negative, which is connected to ground, is over on that side. And then you have the brake fluid reservoir with lots of information and warnings that you can see where the level is there. Also, the air conditioning system and so forth is going to be down inside as well. Air conditioning is one thing I have never done any maintenance on myself, so that's kind of out of my scope. I do see, by the way, the 4 coil packs for the spark plugs. And I'm going to give you another view here. Around the radiator and the cooling fan. Oh, one other thing that's important is keeping these intakes free from leaves and debris. You don't want to have a leaf crumble up and then get sucked down in. It's best to vacuum it out if you see that it starts to get debris in there. Unless it really is something that's solid you can pull out, like a green leaf, you can just pull it right off. That's one thing, but if you have a lot of crumbly leaves, pine needles, that sort of thing, you don't want that to get sucked in, otherwise you're going to start to get a musty smell, and it can also interfere with the filter and the fan for your HVAC system. Yeah, so I don't want your cabin air to start smelling bad. That would be the outcome in one way or another. All right, so up in the front, you're going to see more covering there. Now, I don't claim to know what every little thing is in here, but it is certainly fascinating, and I look forward to learning more. All right, well, thanks everybody for taking a look at my 2-liter EcoBoost engine for the Ford Maverick. You all have a fantastic rest of your day.